that facing failures, massive failures in the battlefield, namely the recent loss of a strategic town of Avdiivka, the Kyiv regime is trying to make up by intensifying its terrorist attacks against civilians. Less than 2 weeks ago, we convened a meeting of the UN Security Council to discuss an attack on a bakery in the city of Lysychansk. Before that was Belgorod, before that was Donetsk. On Lysychansk, 28 innocent people, including a child, were killed during the shelling. Several dozen is injured. One more person died in a hospital last week from the injuries sustained in the attack. This was an act of terrorism committed by the Ukrainian armed forces as they deliberately attacked civilian infrastructure, one of many in the last couple of months. Since then, the Ukrainian forces have demonstrated their heinous neo-Nazi nature yet again. During the day on February 15th, they launched another massive attack on peaceful areas of Belgorod. 7 people died, including a newborn. 19 local residents, four of whom were children, were injured. Apartment buildings, industrial enterprises, cars, and a store were damaged. According to the Russian Ministry of Defense, on the same day, air defense systems destroyed 14 Ukrainian Vampire missile system shells over the territory of the Belgorod region. This strike makes no sense from the military point of view. The military infrastructure was not located in the immediate vicinity of the shelling. Instead, rockets were launched on innocent people in a premeditated act of terror. We call on the UN Secretariat and the agencies to condemn these heinous crimes against civilians and civilian infrastructure carried out by the Kyiv regime in violation of the international humanitarian law. Our national investigation is underway. The perpetrators of these crimes will be identified and prosecuted. Yet another terrorist attack by the Ukrainian armed forces against the city of Belgorod has once again highlighted the criminal role of the West, led by the United States, which continues to send the deadly weapons to the Kyiv regime and thus is an accomplice in all its crimes. These weapons are used in the mass and indiscriminate killing of civilians. Western states are perfectly aware of that, but when it comes to Russian cities, be it Belgorod or Donetsk or Lugansk, they never recall such things as protection of civilians or norms of international humanitarian law. In a bid to profit as much as possible of the conflict, they are completely unbothered by the fact that their weapons mercilessly and deliberately hit civilian targets. The proxy war till the last Ukrainian is a lucrative business project for them. Tremendous money is spent on weapons for Ukraine. Billions of US dollars are migrating from the pockets of taxpayers to the accounts of Western military industries. The majority of EU members obediently follow Washington's orders to supply more and more arms to Kyiv, depleting their arsenals and replenishing them with products purchased from the US defense industry. I can offer you a very simple example of such neo-colonial mentality of the Western establishment. Your colleague from the UK, Zenny Minton Beddoes, editor-in-chief of The Economist, has been very open about how the West uses the people in Ukraine in her TV interview recently for The Daily Show. She said, I quote, "Giving money to Ukraine is the cheapest way for the US to enhance its security. The fighting is being done by Ukrainians, their people are being killed, the US and Europe are supplying them weapons. And in doing that, we are pushing back against Putin." End of quote. Hypocrisy and cynicism of Western states become even more evident since they directly violate all the international agreements and commitments regarding the transfer of weapons and military equipment they are a party to. The sole purpose of the collective West is to drag this conflict, hoping to impose their will on the so-called rules-based international order and to inflict a strategic defeat on Russia. It is precisely for this reason that the US, the UK, and their accomplices made the criminal Kyiv regime sabotage the implementation of the Minsk agreements and destroy the chance for peace in April 2022 by prohibiting Zelensky from signing a peace agreement with Russia. And in this way, they turn a blind eye to all the heinous crimes and terrorist acts of Zelensky and his clique. Thank you very much.
Ambassador, you raised civilian casualties that have been suffered by Russia, but Russia has caused civilian casualties in Ukraine. And in less than a week's time, it'll be the anniversary of the start of the war, and Russia started it.
First, we do not deliberately target any civilian objects in Ukraine. only military targets. That's point one. Secondly, as has been said many times over, we have not started this war. This war started in 2014 by the Kyiv regime when it started their so-called anti-terrorist operation against their own citizens. We came to end it. We didn't start that war.
Ambassador, can I ask you another question about Alexei Navalny? I know, I mean, maybe it's not your direct responsibility, but you are a representative of the Russian Federation. Can you explain to the people around the world who are watching this, why are the Russian authorities not handing over his body? Do you have something to hide?
Well, I think that the reason is simple, because the forensic medical investigation is not over yet. The exact cause of the death was not yet disclosed, while our Western colleagues rushed to claim 15 minutes after it happened, after the news were published, that this was the responsibility of the Putin's regime, etc., etc. I would like to appeal to these self-proclaimed fighters for freedom of speech. Where were you when the Kyiv regime imprisoned your own citizen, I mean the US citizen, independent journalist Gonzalo Lira, on far-fetched charges, who then was tortured and didn't receive proper medical care until his death in the Ukrainian prison? He had the courage to tell the truth about the real state of affairs in Ukraine, and therefore became an inconvenient person for them, that had to be taken care of. We know the value of these empty slogans of Western countries about protecting human rights. We would recommend focusing on protecting their own citizens rather than making baseless accusations against Russia. Also, while underscoring that every death is a tragedy, I'd like to point out the following. As I said, Western political leaders lined up with accusations in as little as 15 minutes after the first reports of the passing away of Alexei Navalny were published. And all this in the absence of any detailed information, let alone a forensic medical examination. It is as if the statements were prepared in advance. And as you know, his wife happened accidentally to be at the Munich Security Conference at the same time. When it comes to investigating such heinous crimes and sabotage like the Nord Stream, for example, our Western colleagues are taking their time. The Swedish authorities already closed the investigation, and nobody else is hurrying with making the truth known. So I think that they better look for themselves before they make baseless accusations, even before any evidence came to light. Thank you very much.
This is Mariam Ramadi with Afghanistan International TV.
Sorry.
Mariam Ramadi with Afghanistan International TV. I have a question regarding Doha meeting on Afghanistan. In a statement, Russian embassy in Afghanistan announced that the Russian delegation will not meet with the Afghan civil society members. The only delegation in Doha that is not meeting with the Afghan representatives. Why is that, and don't you think that is a way that showing that Russia is turning its back to the women in Afghanistan and the people of Afghanistan for siding with the Taliban?
We are not turning our back on women or children of Afghanistan. We stress all the time that the issue of human rights for women and girls in Afghanistan is an important matter which we follow, and which we are on the same line with our colleagues in the Security Council and in the international community. But there are other things for Afghanistan that should be dealt with and should be attended to. We have no choice but to engage pragmatically with the de facto authorities of Afghanistan, whom we didn't recognize, like nobody else. But the reality is there, and we have to engage with those people who rule Afghanistan now.
Ambassador, before you go, can we have a quick comment on Gaza? There is a vote, we believe, tomorrow morning. It looks like there'll be a vote. Already, the US ambassador has issued a statement saying she's going to veto. Your reaction?
That's sad. That we cannot come with the ceasefire for as long as 4 months, actually 5 months now, nearly 5 months, and that only one delegation is preventing that. I think that if we had come with the ceasefire the first time we proposed it, which was 16th of October, so many lives could have been spared. Thank you very much.
Another investigation, Russia called for.
Which investigation?
Russia called the foreign partners and foreign organizations to take part in the investigation of the Ilyushin 76 downing. Were there any response from any party?
No, we are conducting our own investigation, but nobody approached us on that.
Mr. Ambassador, do you plan to request UN Security Council meeting on Western weapons deliveries to Ukraine in the near future?
Could you repeat?
Do you plan to request UN Security Council meeting on Western deliveries of weapons to Ukraine in the near future?
Perhaps we'll have two meetings on Ukraine this week. One is in the General Assembly. The second is called by our former Western partners in the Security Council on the 23rd of February. Yes, sometime into February or March, of course, we will call something in that way. Thank you very much.